here this evening to bring to you a brand new product from NHT Global. NHT Global is always in the cutting edge of bringing fantastic products to market, and of course we always have the individuals who are behind these products on these kind of calls so that you can hear exactly what these products can do for you and your family. And tonight is no exception. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Bakler. He's a practicing medical doctor at the University of Minnesota with recognized expertise in the realm of integrative medicine and biochemistry. He currently serves as the Director of Inpatient Medical Services for the University Hospital System and Assistant Professor for the Medical School. Dr. Bakler is regarded as an expert in the scientific study of angiogenesis, antioxidants, and nutrient delivery. He is an author of multiple published medical papers and currently serves in several leadership capacities within the medical community, university, and private industry. Dr. Bakler received his undergraduate training at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, graduating with honors in both immunology and medical microbiology. He received his medical training at the University of Minnesota Medical School with a focus on family medicine and community health, while also receiving medical certifications in integrative medicine, advanced life support, and advanced cardiac life support. Excuse me. He has distinguished himself in scientific research with multiple research fellowships, including the National Angiogenesis Foundation and Hilldale Foundation. Dr. Bakler is a member of the American Medical Association, the American Nutraceutical Association, the American Holistic Medical Association, the American Academy of Family Medicine, and the Minnesota Medical Association. He has served on multiple boards, including the University Minnesota Center for Spirituality and Healing, Twin Cities Medical Society, Hennepin Medical Society, and as a diplomat of the American Board of Family Medicine. It's my pleasure and privilege to turn the call over to Dr. Bakler. The call is all yours.
Well, thank you very much, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It truly is an honor and a privilege to be with you, and just checking to make sure everyone can hear me okay.
Loud and clear, Dr. Bakler.
Excellent, excellent. Well, as I mentioned earlier, it truly is wonderful to be together and to be discussing with you health and wellness. And one of the things that I personally am passionate about is empowering individuals through the gain of knowledge to take control of their own health. We know that in America today and around the world we face a health crisis. And that crisis is really how do we empower patients, ourselves, those we love, our families, how do we take control of our health and partner with healthcare providers around us. But it starts with ourselves. It starts with the decisions that we make on a daily basis to really impact our health by the decisions we make each and every day. And that's why I am so very excited to be talking this evening about the new nutraceutical innovation with NHT on the omega-3 essential fatty acid nutraceutical. When we take a look at America today specifically, and we look at complementary and natural therapies, the number one daily substance in terms of natural products that someone consumes is the daily multivitamin mineral. But number two behind that is the use of an omega-3 essential fatty acid, or EFA. The omega-3s, you've heard about them, I'm sure, in the news, in print, on the radio. They truly are an amazing substance with strong evidence-based medicine and nutritional studies, both in the scientific laboratory as well as in clinical practice, with strong research supporting their role in human health. Now, tonight during the presentation, I'm working in tandem with a colleague from the home office, and so I'll be asking their help in advancing the slide. So why don't we move to the next slide, please? When we think about, next slide after that as well, this is a slide going over my background, and thank you very much for the kind introduction earlier. When we think about health and wellness and our body, it's important to realize that our cells in our body have within them fats. Each and every cell of your body has fat within it. And we know that when we look at the diet, there are different types of fats. And so the first portion of our talk here, we're going to focus on understanding some of those fats in the diet and the role that they play in our bodies and a little bit of how our body is made up. So each and every cell in your body has a membrane around it, and that's what the picture you see here on the cell, on that slide there. And within each and every cellular membrane, we have within that Fats. Fats make up what is called the phospholipid bilayer. This component around cells is made up of different substances, but the primary substance is fat. And the fats we take in our diet get incorporated into these cellular membranes. They also circulate through our blood. They also serve as cofactors for other reactions in our body. But it's important to note there are different types of fats, and specifically when we think of the components of a cell membrane, we think of fatty acids. And there are essential fatty acids that are critical to life. They're called essential because our body cannot live without them. They literally are critical to life. Our body does not make them. We depend upon the outside world to obtain them and then ingest them into our bodies. And we're able to take these in through both vegetable and marine sources. And we're going to talk a little bit later about the different types of fats. Many of you know and have heard of the dangerous fats in our diet, like the trans fats or the saturated fats or hydrogenated fats. Those are fats you want to stay away from. Then we move on to other types of fats that can be healthy for us, those monounsaturated and the polyunsaturated. And that's where the omega-3 essential fatty acid family resides, is in that polyunsaturated family. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight, and the studies behind them, and why it is they're the #2 nutraceutical supplement that individuals take on a daily basis. But it's important to take away from this slide and this portion of the talk is that fat is critical to life. There are good fats and bad fats, and every cell within your body has fat, and specifically fatty acids within them that make up that cellular membrane and also participate in the daily function and metabolism of your body. Next slide, please. When we think about fatty acids, I had mentioned earlier there was a special type, and that type that we're most concerned about and where most of the research resides is in the omega-3 family. And you may have heard of the omega-3s, the omega-6s, the omega-9s, and I talked earlier on the different types of fats and the trans, the saturated, the monounsaturated. All of these terms actually come down to their actual structure in chemistry. I won't go into the detail. I get really excited about those things sometimes. But know that the nomenclature and how they're named is really based on this structure. That's how we come up with the names. But the omega-3 essential fatty acid family truly is a very, very special part of the fatty acid umbrella family. It's important to note the omega-3s are not made by the body. They must be obtained through food. They're essential components of cell membranes, and they can be converted into many, many important regulatory substances within your body. I lecture in the School of Pharmacy on different pathways that are affected by the fats within the cellular membranes. Some fats cause our bodies to be more pro-inflammatory and cause problems. Other fats go the other direction to support health. And actually in the human diet, the westernized diet, what we call in the medical literature and scientific literature, the SAD diet. Believe it or not, that's what it's called, SAD, which is the Standard American Diet. The acronym is SAD because, unfortunately, it is SAD. We are taking in substances, on average, that are unhealthy for us in excess. And when we think about the fatty acids that we take in our diet, we are in a high proportion on the omega-6s, which are more pro-inflammatory, and not enough on the omega-3s. And again, these are the critical omegas where we have wonderful research supporting a multitude of health benefits, but know that they play a critical role in the normal physiology of your body and on cell function, and are critical in helping support regulatory substances. But know this more than anything is that original statement is that every single cell in your body contains fatty acids, and the type of fatty acids make a tremendous difference on how those cells perform, on how they look, and how they interact with metabolism. Realize there have been certain drugs that have been developed along the way to block, literally, some of these pathways that all start with the type of fats within the membrane. In fact, you may have remember some of these drugs were actually pulled by the FDA because of safety concerns, but they were meant to block inflammation along what we call the arachidonic acid pathway. It's not important for you to remember these pathways or these names, but know that this is a major pathway in the body. Know that the essential fatty acids within the membranes and within the cells make a tremendous difference. And the omega-3s are critical to life, and they are not made by your body. Next slide, please. On this slide, you'll see the multitude of benefits the omega-3 essential fatty acid family has in the body and how it impacts a multitude of body systems and organs. There are wonderful studies as relates to vision, neurologic function as well. In fact, there were recent studies coming out looking at the impact of omega-3 essential fatty acids and their impact on the healthy and normal structure and function of memory and neurologic function, and specifically those who had compromised memories. I would encourage each and every one of you to go online this evening after we finish the presentation and to go to some, for example, PubMed, or to go to a research forum, or just go to Google and type in omega-3s and brain. Type in omega-3s and memory. Type in cognitive function. Type in the name of omega-3s and some different brain diseases, and you will be amazed at what comes up in recent research. You'll find that the omega-3s play a tremendous role in supporting the neurologic function of the body and memory. And in fact, for those of you who have children at home who may have family members who may be using a bottle feeding or have transitioned from breast milk over to formula, you'll know that you're finding formula supplemented now with essential fatty acids, specifically DHA, which is a specific omega-3. And we're going to talk a little bit later about that one. But they're putting it in baby formula because of its critical role in neurologic function and development. In fact, there have been some studies that suggested higher IQ amongst children who had this supplemented within their baby formula. We know, and going on and around the presentation here on the slide, critical role in the skin. We know because the omega-3s are critical in the cellular membrane for cells, they play a critical role in helping support the integrity of the skin and supporting healthy aging, as well as individuals who have challenges with skin conditions, as well as just general beauty. It's interesting, Hollywood rates omega-3s in one of their top 3 natural interventions for supporting the beauty of the skin. Again, supporting radiant skin. We know that we have oils in our body. Healthy oils go to nourish the skin. We know in lots of topical applications, of which I've also formulated many, we want these oils and different components to help nourish the body, the skin. Another one is the anti-inflammatory aspects of supporting the GI tract. We know the omega-3s play a key role in helping support normal function in the body as relates to inflammatory states. Wonderful, wonderful research there as well, supporting joint health specifically. Again, a healthy fat metabolism. Healthy fats in the diet lead to a healthy fat metabolism. There are studies also looking at the immune system. We know because they are critical and essential substances that our immune system doesn't work properly if we don't have these essential critical nutrients. I mentioned earlier the impact on joints. Wonderful studies looking at joint inflammation and discomfort. I would encourage you also to explore on your own, typing in omega-3s online and joint and osteo and other aspects of it. Because they impact both the cellular structure and because they augment as well the inflammatory pathways in the body, they play a key role in supporting flexible and agile joints, joints that move freely without pain. A healthy fat metabolism leads to a healthy weight as well. And we know, and I'm going to end on the cardiovascular aspect and circulation. There's a wonderful recommendation from the American Heart Association that revolves around the use of omega-3s and an FDA-associated claim that can be made for products that actually meet a certain threshold of EPA and DHA, the 2 most important omega-3s. And, of course, that is present in the NHT formulation that I did. Know that when it comes to cardiovascular health, when it comes to the health of your circulatory system, when it comes to a healthy beating heart, when it comes to health, to supporting healthy triglyceride levels in the body, and their lipid profile, as well as the overall health of the cardiovascular system in terms of pressure within blood vessels, know that the research on omega-3s is overwhelming. Next slide, please. One of the things that I had mentioned earlier is the FDA-approved health claim associated with cardiovascular health. And that is listed here on this slide, and that is the FDA has approved that the consumption of EPA and DHA omega-3 fatty acids may reduce the risk of coronary heart disease. What's specific to this claim, however, is that it is specific to the amount and type of omega-3s. So it's the approval for products that contain greater than 1,000 milligrams of EPA and DHA in combination. That is the requirement. The products and the research that is associated with that claim, you need to have a threshold amount. And interestingly enough, the American Heart Association came out later, in addition to the FDA statement, but came out and specified, because many times we'll hear about fish oil, 1,000 milligrams, right? And you'll see lots of products that list 1,000 milligrams of fish oil. Well, friends, let me tell you, there are many products in the marketplace that are doing more harm than they are good. The American Heart Association came out with a specific statement and clarified that it wasn't fish oil that they were talking about. It was specifically the active components of the omega-3 family of EPA, which is eicosapentaenoic acid, and DHA, docosahexaenoic acid. Those are the two most valuable players in the omega-3 family and highest concentration that we're going to talk about in the NHT omega-3 product. But that's where the research resided. That's where they found the cardiovascular benefits, and that's why they clarified their claim, because they felt, in addition to the scientific and medical community and the healthcare provider community in general, the manufacturers were not being responsible in their claims. They were claiming and putting healthy for the heart, 1,000 milligrams fish oil, and they weren't highlighting how much EPA, DHA. They weren't meeting the associated scientific claims and literature and data, as well as a whole host of safety issues related to heavy metals, PCBs, dioxins. Remember, these substances come primarily from marine source, which brings up a great point I want to touch on. When we think of omega-3s in general, you can get them from either plant-based substances or marine, or the sea. And both are healthy places to get omega-3s, but realize the omega-3 nomenclature or umbrella, it's like a family. And the vegetable-sourced omega-3s, like from flaxseed, for example, these are upstream metabolites. They're upstream substances that your body then converts in a conversion process to the most active metabolites of EPA and DHA, where all these claims are around in the majority of the research. And realize that our body is very inefficient at doing this. And if you're a male, it's even more inefficient. Women can convert at a higher rate than men because of their ability to bear children. But men, because we don't bear children, and there's the speculation on why this is in relation to our body and processing, our bodies process, if you're a male, at a much lower rate to get to these active metabolites. And so, for example, if you were to take in 1,000 milligrams of omega-3 from vegetable source, if you were a male, your conversion of that, say, 1,000 milligrams to the active metabolite could be as low as 1%. It ranges between 1 and 10% from the literature for men. Women up to 30%. But that's the conversion rate, and that's why the scientific community recommends going directly to the EPA and DHA forms of the omega-3 family associated with those cardiovascular benefits. Next slide, please. When we think about the American Heart Association and we think about their core function and their emphasis on cardiovascular health, so there's a responsibility they have in helping get information on. And when it comes to omega-3s, there are some specific areas that the research focuses on, and that is focusing on healthy and normal heart rates. Second was focusing on healthy triglyceride levels. In fact, omega-3s, and specifically EPA and DHA, are in the standard of care for the treatment of hypertriglyceridemia. Now, it's important for me to say that the NHT omega-3 does not treat, reduce, or cure any disease because those are drug-associated claims, and this is not a drug. This is a dietary supplement that, however, it does support healthy triglyceride levels. You can take this to your doctor and talk about triglycerides, and you can come up with a plan under their supervision on the use of this specific omega-3 to support healthy triglyceride levels. The other thing is that omega-3s are shown to support the health on the inside of blood vessels as it relates to maintaining healthy blood flow, and it relates to the concern for blockage. The other thing that is very exciting about the research on omega-3s is their ability to impact and support healthy pressure within blood vessels. There's lots of research going on right now looking at this aspect of the omega-3s, but these are the four primary areas that we think about: focusing on a healthy heart rate, focusing on healthy triglyceride levels, focusing on healthy blood lining of the blood vessels themselves, and focusing on a healthy blood pressure. So as you can see, there are multiple areas that the omega-3 supports in cardiovascular health. It's understandable why there's a health claim around them, but it's important to make sure we're talking about the most important and science-based omega-3s, and that is EPA and DHA. Next slide, please. So when we think about omega-3s in the diet, and let me say, in general, as a healthcare provider, someone who does both research, teaches, as well as sees patients, the best source for nutrients is from our food. However, we know that many times it can be difficult to get all the nutrients that we need or in appropriate balance. We know that when we look at national statistics on the average standard American diet, we know for the average American there are holes, there are deficiencies. This is without question when we look at optimal nutrient intake, when we talk about fruits, when we talk about vegetables, and when we talk about omega-3 essential fatty acids. If we were to talk about the diet and to obtain these substances, we would be talking, specific to the omega-3s, we'd be talking about 2 very generous and large servings of omega-3 rich fish. And for example, they would be talking about salmon. Salmon that is actually wild caught, not farm raised. And in specific areas of the world, we need to make sure that we're looking at where the salmon or other types of fish come from that are high in omega-3s. Unfortunately, when we look on the average consumption, most Americans aren't getting this. And when we look at the amount of omega-3s that is needed for focusing on specific health conditions and health goals, that really doesn't meet those recommendations. We would have to be eating a lot more. For example, when we think about healthy triglyceride levels, an individual would literally be needing to be having eight meals of fish throughout the week. So 8 servings of fish throughout the week to focus on healthy triglyceride levels. And so when we think about different health goals and how much we're supposed to be taking in, and in using nutritional supplementation in general, it's really about filling in those nutritional gaps. But it never replaces a healthy lifestyle. It never replaces eating healthy. That being said, the American Heart Association has come out with recommendations that for the average American, we want 1 to 2 grams daily of ingestion of omega-3 essential fatty acids. And around that 1,000 milligram or 1 gram is where we like to find that at the base level for the prevention of cardiovascular disease. And then we focus on 1 gram coming from foods for that 2 gram daily. When we think about individuals who have other specific health goals, for example, if someone has unhealthy triglycerides, they literally should be on the 3,000 to 4,000 milligram or 3 to 4 grams per day. When we think about individuals who are focusing on joint health, they would be from 2 to 4 grams as well. Mental health and mood, these individuals would be on that 2 to 4 gram per day as well. For general cardiovascular health, 1 gram per day if you don't have any issues. So as you can see, there's a spectrum and a dosage response starting at 1 gram and upwards, usually to 4 grams, even up to 6 grams in a day, but usually 1 to 4 is the amount per day. But when it comes to heart health, for the basis, it's 1 gram, and we can bump it up from 2 to 4 depending upon our health goal. But we have the important takeaway from this slide, and ladies and gentlemen, I know I've been very specific and granular. but know that we have national associations focused on promoting the health of Americans. We have the FDA with an approved health claim for cardiovascular health and for the reduction of cardiovascular disease. And we also have the American Heart Association with recommendations for omega-3s. So those statements, those considerations need to make us take a step back and say, am I incorporating these into my life? Am I taking the best recommendations that are out there? And am I, and I want you to remember this, am I doing something different? What am I doing to beat the average? Because on average, we know what people will die from. On average, we actually know when people will die. And on average, we know when people obtain a health challenge, how it's going to go for them based on their statistics. And this is the whole science and statistics behind health insurance. We're very, very good at statistics in America because it's, and in the insurance industry, because they use the statistics of the average. So my question to you on this call tonight, regardless of whether you ever use a nutritional product, I would just encourage you to take a stance in your life about making healthy choices. You need to make healthy choices on a daily basis to beat the average. Because on average, we know what will happen. But I know because you're on this call tonight, you are not the average. You're interested in your health, and you're interested in the health of those around you. And so on that note, I commend you, and I'm excited to be here partnering with you. Next slide, please. So this is going to lead us to talking about the omega-3 from NHT and focusing on three primary aspects of this product, and that is superior potency, superior purity, and superior taste. These three characteristics set this product apart and have it stand alone as a premier and one of the world's best omega-3 nutraceuticals that you can be proud to share with yourself, your family, your loved ones, and your doctor. Know that my daughter, my wife, my family, my mother, my father, they all take this product. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm very, very excited to be talking about this and very, very excited. I know you'll be pleased on these three characteristics. And really when we think about a nutritional intervention in general, it needs to be safe, it needs to have quality, and it needs to work. Next slide, please. So you heard me talk earlier about the importance of potency, and that was in relation to EPA and DHA. These are the two most important omega-3 essential fatty acids in the omega-3 family. This is where the majority of the research resides. These are the active metabolites at the end of that conversion chain in our bodies. It's what we end up with at the end of the day after all those conversions are done. So this has a very high concentration in one serving, which is 2 soft gels. They're small soft gels. The DHA is at 600 milligrams. The EPA is at 400 for 1,000 milligrams of EPA and DHA, and a blend of other omega-3s at 50 milligrams of supporting omega-3s for a total of 1,050 milligram omega-3s. But they're high concentration. Notice that number 1, the EPA and DHA is listed. Number 2, it's high concentration. Realize to receive the equivalent of this in several products in the marketplace today sold at the common corner store or supermarket or a superstore, literally you would have to take in some regards up to 10 soft gels to equate to 2. I've seen actually some as high where it would be as high, and this is certainly the exception, but there was one product someone brought in for us to review and analyze. It was between 18 and 20 soft gels in EPA and DHA content. It was filled with omega-3s. It was a very large, it was 1,000 milligram, and it was a huge, huge soft gel. And so when you looked at it and you analyzed it and looked at the chemistry, you realized that the majority of that soft gel actually wasn't omega-3. It was filler oil. Who knows what was used? Realize that hydrogenated oils, it's not uncommon for these to be used for filler and carrier oils to be placed within the soft gel. And those do not need to be claimed. And so it's very concerning. And so that, remember, at the end of the day, these are fats. And fats can have unhealthy consequences in the body. And so when people formulate these, they need to have substances that get along with them in the formulary, within the soft gel. And so, ladies and gentlemen, when you look at a nutritional product, it's not only what is in the product, but it is what is not in the product. And so our formulary and putting this together, high concentration EPA and DHA prescription potency, made to pharmaceutical standards, and only 2 soft gels are needed to achieve the FDA and AHA's recommendation. There's specialized techniques to ensure maximum oil integrity from the harvesting as it relates to fish, which we're going to talk about, all the way through. You need to have multiple steps and considerations. What type of fish? Where are the fish coming from? What part of the ocean? What layer in the ocean? What size of the fish? What's the life cycle? Remember that we have fish that live a short period of time and fish that live a long period of time. When we're thinking about bioaccumulation in a fish, we want fish that live a shorter period of time in fresher waters, in the higher levels of the water, not deep. The oils from oxidative stress as well. So the oil itself, and we've all probably had a cooking oil in our home where all of a sudden you're like, my gosh, that cooking oil doesn't smell good, it doesn't stand up under heat, something's wrong with it. And we know that if you cook with an oil long enough, that you'll actually change the chemical structure. So oils are vulnerable, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later. Next slide, please. Not only does the product have superior potency, but it also has superior purity. Again, it's 100% small-sized fish source, and I mentioned that earlier, that smaller fish have less bioaccumulation because they live shorter. The fish come from the Southeast Pacific and Central Eastern Atlantic. It's fully refined. It is actually, there are different certifications, and the partners that we use both in obtaining the fish as well as in the processing actually have certifications related to the responsible harvesting of the fish, from where they come from. In fact, actually the rotation of the waters, so there's replenishment, as well as the layers that they fish and how deep that they go. All of these things are important. And the product is tested for more than 200 potential contaminants. Again, not only what is in the product, but what is not. Realize that there is, from the National Board of the American College of Gynecology and Obstetrics, there are recommendations that exist regarding pregnant women and fish. Did you know that if you have a woman who's pregnant, she should not eat swordfish? Because these fish are high in heavy metals. They eat other fish, and they live a long time. And so there's recommendations of not eating certain things and certain types of fish. And in fact, if you live in the Midwest, certain rivers will actually have recommendations on how much fish you should eat if you're pregnant, and check your local recommendations from your health authorities. But realize that there's potential dangers. And so we need to, anytime we start concentrating nutritional substances, we need to think about that. So this product, superior potency, but also superior purity in terms of not only where the fish come from, but then through sequential molecular distillation, through thinking about literally the types of purification process and removing and purifying the fish oil, but also doing it in a way that doesn't harm the oils. So next slide, please. When we think about manufacturing and when we think about purity, we have to think about, is this product made in the United States? Are they applying good manufacturing practices? Are they compliant with the United States CFR 21, which is the Code of Federal Regulations? Is the company that's marketing it compliant with the SHEA? What is it that goes into the manufacturing? So, ladies and gentlemen, this product is made in the United States. This is a product that, when we think about the manufacturing of it, applies GMPs, or those good manufacturing practices, to provide consistent quality. And again, at the end of the day, we want to use ingredients and techniques that really match up with the pharmaceutical industry, the pharmaceutical model. We know in general, and I'm going to say there's no, as much as there are issues with the world of pharma and pharmaceuticals, I know that there are considerations when it comes to the pharmaceutical industry that make many of us uncomfortable. But when it comes to the model, it is a model that is trying to put forward safety when it comes to the manufacturing, the consistency, the quality, the studies. There are a lot of competing industries in the world today and in healthcare and the intersection of business and healthcare and medicine and all these things that, and we know there have been many books written about challenges in the pharma industry, but putting those things aside and saying there's a side of the model that really focuses on trying to deliver an exceptionally high-quality product because it goes in people's bodies. And that's what we have done here in focusing on the manufacturing techniques and the partners that we use in creating this product. Next slide, please. The final thing that we need to talk about when it comes to the omega-3 essential fatty acid product and omega-3s in general, and I want you to remember this, if nothing else in this presentation, there's one fun factoid, and that is the number one reason people don't take the fish oil that's prescribed or recommended is for one reason and one reason alone, and that is taste. I'm going to say that again. The number one reason that people do not take the recommended omega-3s from either the healthcare provider or based on national recommendations is for one reason alone, and that is taste. Ladies and gentlemen, the formulation that is present here that you will experience has an outstanding natural citrus flavoring component to it. We've worked exceptionally hard on that. It has no fishy repeat. You can literally chew the product. There's no sugar added. There's no artificial flavors, no artificial colors. It is natural, it's chewable, and it's great for kids. Literally, I have 2 children. They both chew the product, and yours will be able to as well. But know that that was a key focus in the formulation. And I know there are lemony omega-3s out there that many of you probably have tried and that it tastes very poor. And know that the number one pharmaceutical prescribed omega-3 has a huge issue with compliance as it relates to taste. That has been solved with this formula. And we are so very, very excited to be sharing this to promote health and wellness, and knowing that when you share it with someone, that this is not going to be an objection, that it's very, very important. And to me, in working and formulating the product, this was key. So it has an exceptional flavor. If it doesn't taste good, people aren't going to take it. There's no fishy repeat and coming up. Literally, there are formulations on the market today where if you take enough, you will smell like fish, you will sweat fish, you will repeat fish. It's very, very uncomfortable when people are taking these types of products, and it's the number one reason people don't take omega-3s, and that is solved here. So we're really excited about that. Next slide, please. As I mentioned earlier, when we think about our place in the world, not only in caring for each other, but in caring for the planet, and that is we need to be stewards and stewards of our resources. And this product, I want you to know that is truly dedicated at multiple levels to the conservation of marine habitats. The fish oil using comes from sustainable sources and is farmed and harvested in sustainable ways, and meet the strict certification for the standards of Friends of the Sea. And you can read about them on the internet if you'd like, but the partners that are used in obtaining the fish meet that certification. So that's important, and it should be important to us all in caring for the planet and making sure that for generations to come that we have been stewards and that there's a bright future in all regards. So that's important to us all. Next slide. So when we think about the omega-3s and the omega-3 essential fatty acid family, I want you to remember it's DHA and EPA in high concentrations. And this slide, again, is focusing on those key functions. Again, focusing on the health of the cardiovascular system, and specifically if we have enough EPA and DHA, of which this product does, to meet the FDA-associated claim of having the potential to reduce the risk of heart disease. And this product meets that FDA claim. Secondly, we talk about focusing on cognitive function and neurologic development. Cognitive function and mood in adults, and also in neurologic development in children developing in the womb. Next, I want to talk on the health of the eye and support of the macula, the retina of the eye. There's wonderful studies. I'm looking at the role of omega-3s supporting vision, dry eyes themselves, but specifically, overall visual support and pressure within the eye. There have been very large studies on the use of omega-3s looking at the role of omega-3s in macular health. Next, we mentioned about the focusing on joints and focusing on joint health and wellness, on promoting mobility as it relates to that inflammatory pathway in the body. Next, we talked about the fat metabolism, healthy fats in, promote the healthy fat metabolism, and finally, focusing on the beauty of the skin. And at the end of the day, we all want to look healthy. It's a reflection of how we feel on the inside, and that's why many times we want to have the inside and the outside of our bodies match, and so how we're feeling and to be a reflection. And this is just a wonderful innovation. And again, if you're familiar with different best-selling books, and just I can't mention the author's name on this call, but again, #1 bestseller in the New York Times talking about wrinkles and what you can do for your face. Omega-3s are listed again in the top 5 that are recommended there. And I had mentioned, and this was several years ago, and they bumped up. Again, go online, look at the research, type in omega-3s in skin and beauty, and again, the physiology, the science makes sense, and the results are there as well. Next slide, please. When we think about directions for use, those are important for any product. For general health, it's 2 soft gels daily, preferably 10 minutes before a meal. We recommend not to exceed 8 soft gels per day without doctor recommendation or supervision. Again, 2 soft gels equals 1,000 milligrams of EPA and DHA with an additional 50 milligrams of blended omega-3s. But again, in 2 soft gels that are small, easy to swallow, you can chew them if you like, you will meet the AHA recommendation and that FDA-associated health claim. For children, it's 4+, and it's 1 soft gel daily. Now, literally, the age of 4 is the cutoff because of the ability to chew the product. And so omega-3s are recommended for children of all ages, but literally, in order to take a soft gel and put it in the mouth and handle it and chew it or swallow, again, we don't recommend anyone younger than age 4. Many individuals will actually puncture it and actually squirt it into their child's mouth if they're younger, but again, the recommendation is for and older because of choking risk. Know that, again, as we talked about dosing regimens, how much to take and for what. Again, 2 soft gels is the starting in the base level, and then increase from there dependent upon health goal. I often get asked, how much do I take on a daily basis? I take 2 grams of the omega-3 essential fatty acid on a daily basis. Next slide, please. So in summary, the omega-3 essential fatty acids truly are essential to health. The innovation that we have here on the omega-3 essential fatty acid nutraceutical meets the recommendations of the current scientific community for omega-3s as it relates to high content EPA and DHA in terms of potency. We have the superior purity, and we have solved the challenge of taste for superior taste in this product. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't share enough my personal excitement and how enthusiastic I am in being on the call with you tonight, and that is for one specific reason, and that is because of the goodness that will come forth from the use of this specific nutritional innovation. In sharing this product with other people, you are literally sharing wellness and nutritional innovation that is strongly based in science, that comes from natural sources and presented in a natural way without any artificials. And so it truly is a wonderful innovation that supports health with strong science, with the support of the scientific community, and again is the number, behind the daily multivitamin and mineral, it is the number 2, I should say, so number 1 is the multivitamin and minerals, or the daily multi, and behind that is omega-3 essential fatty acids. That's 1 and 2 in terms of daily consumption. And so we have an opportunity here to share with others a meaningful omega-3 that meets the scientific recommendations formulated in a responsible way. And so very, very excited to be on the call. So ladies and gentlemen, it's been an honor and a privilege. And more than anything else, I just encourage you to do something on a daily basis to beat the averages, to support the health for yourself and those that you care about and love. So on that note, thank you so much for having me on the call, and I'll turn it back over to our moderator.
Thank you, Dr. Baker. That was fantastic. And folks, as always, you can hear the passion of Dr. Baker's voice as to what this product means to him and his family. And if the good doctor uses it for him and his family, you know that it's good enough for your family and something that you want to get on. You want to start to benefit from. These products have touched many of our lives already as we've been able to use them ahead of this launch, and they're fantastic products. Get back to the person that brought you onto this call or pointed you in the direction of this video so that you can start to benefit from the omega-3s, as Dr. Baker mentioned. There's so many things, to recap. Watch this call again. It was recorded. And, of course, start to benefit from these omega-3s as well as the other wellness products NHT Global has. So on behalf of Dr. Baker and myself, Jamie Messina, and on behalf of NHT Global in general, thank you for joining us here this evening. Have a fantastic rest of your evening. Goodbye, everybody.